21st century, we've got social media all around us, Twitter accounts, Facebook accounts, internet, people got iPads, smartphones. But let's talk about Plato and the hierarchy of people in a civilization. Now I'm going to make it simple for everyone. This is something I learned in grad school. The hierarchy of people in a civilization hasn't changed. Now Plato said that in this hierarchy there are workers or a labor force. There is military, the protectors, or the police. And there are philosopher kings, public officials, professors, business people, etc. Is this Plato model, is the model of Plato still relevant in the inner city communities that are predominantly of color? Dr. Cornel West, close us out.
I got to give from
I just want to say there's a sweet spirit in this place. This is magnificent, man, in Chicago. Something happening in Chicago. Chicago always on the cutting edge, I tell you. But no, for me, see, certainly we can learn from Plato and the Greeks and the Egyptians and the Europeans and Asians and Africans and so forth. But in the 21st century, the first question for me is, what role does any education have for poetry and music? Plato bans most of the poets, and he actually eliminates all flutes and only allows for lyres to be played in his Republic. And it's because he knew that when you have courageous poets who are telling the truth and who are really unleashing the energy of those below, and when you have musicians that can transform moans and groans into songs that allow people to see possibility in the face of darkness. And for black people, we have to be very honest about this, that for 400 years we've lived in a system that has never, ever wanted black people to love themselves, respect themselves, educate themselves, come together, trust each other, organize, mobilize to make the world a better place. There's a whole lot of energy that is taking place in the past. There's a whole lot of energy taking place right now behind closed doors to ensure that we remain in a situation in which our schools are decrepit and the houses are decrepit and the unemployment rates are high and the self-hatred and self-violation of one another remains the norm. So that when we talk about education, we have to recognize that we're still on a battlefield. A lot of people think the war is over after Martin was shot or the civil rights movement triumphed. There's still a war going on to the degree to which there's a balance of forces. And when you look at the top 1% of the population has 45% of the wealth. 1% of the population got 80% of all the income in the last 30 years. Working people dealing with stagnating wages when the CEOs and investment bankers and corporate elites have been making billions and billions and billions. That's called a war by other means. And education is part and parcel of that war that's taking place psychically, socially, spiritually, economically, politically. So that for me, I want to bring this to a close, but there's a sweet spirit in this place. I want to bring this to a close. It has very much to do with very basic issues. You see, for 400 years, the educational system has attempted to niggerize a great people. Cornel West understood it. Du Bois understood it. Garvey understood it. Malcolm understood it. Fannie Lou understood it. How do you niggerize a people? You terrorize them. You traumatize them. You stigmatize them. So you try to ensure that socially they're inscribed, economically they're marginalized, politically they're pushed to the periphery, and psychologically and spiritually they're walking around distrusting each other, disrespecting each other, devaluing each other, demeaning each other. That's the history. That's the history that our dear brother Black has been such a warrior about. That's why I had to stand. Because when I think of 92 years of wrestling with the forces of niggerization, and look at him now with his power, his style, his intelligence, his imagination, his determination, his fortitude, his compassion. That's Brother Black. And you know what? That's also the best of Chicago. That's the best of Los Angeles. That's the best of Harlem. That's the best of Washington, D.C. And it's not just a racial thing. The white brothers and sisters and others had to learn from us that they had to deal with being traumatized and terrorized and stigmatized as well. But what is at the core of it? It's first a matter of acknowledging one another. Acknowledging one another. That's why anytime we speak, we ought to first acknowledge those who have given so much. That's why when I start, I had to talk about Flake and Dwight McGee and Conrad, Michael Horton and others. I am who I am because they did what they did. I am who I am because somebody loved me. Somebody struggled for me. Somebody sacrificed for me. And I don't have to agree with everything. Conrad don't agree on everything, but I love that. He comes with a National Black United Front. I'm a Jesus-loving free black man who moves from different contexts to the other. But you know what? When it comes to loving the children, that's where I'm going to be. And when you love folks, you hate the fact they're being treated unjustly. You hate the fact they're being treated unfairly. And if you don't do something, the rocks are going to cry out. It's not about what others are doing. This is what I want to do with my life. That's what this panel is all about. Everybody on this panel focused their talent because what? Long time ago, they decided this is what they were going to do with their life. And rest be assured that what stood at the center of their decision was Vancouver. They couldn't look forward until they looked backward and understand who constituted. That's why Brother Scorbell, sophisticated scholar, he pointed out his mom and his daddy, didn't he? Because he is who he is because they loved him. They sacrificed for him. They shaped him in their own way. That's true for each and every one of us. Our problem is we need to pass this on to the generation. Is so important across the board because they no longer have access to one of the greatest traditions ever created, which is a culture of freedom created by those who were most unfree in American society. But it was primarily manifested in our music because for a while that's all we had was our voices. That's why music means so much to black people. That's why our musicians have to be at or near the center of any talk about a struggle for freedom. That's right. Because if you're going to actually tell the truth about this system, you better have your spirituality intact. Because people are going to come at you like I don't know what. You're going to need some faith if you're a Christian like me, but you don't have to be a Christian like me. I've known some secular folk who got spirituality, but they needed some Curtis Mayfield and Aretha Franklin. And the Carolina too. They were going to snap if they didn't have something that connected them with their past. That's why I'm suspicious of Plato. He doesn't have musicians in his